Dad only gives out to you if you're really bold. But when Dad gives out, you still feel like crying, even though he doesn't give you a smack. He only pretends to. He puts his hand over your hand and smacks himself instead. And you know why his face is only messing. But you still feel like crying anyway. When Mum smacks you, you only cry if she gives you a really good wallop for yourself. And if Mum gives out to you, you only cry if she says she's going to tell Dad. Most of the time she forgets, because by the time Dad comes home, she might be too busy watching telly or else be fast asleep in bed. If Brian is extra bold, she might tell on him. She might say, "Wait till you hear what that fella's after doing on me now." And then she tells. But sometimes Dad says he doesn't believe her. He says he knows Brian wouldn't do such a bold thing because he's such a good boy. And that isn't fair, because it's like as if he's saying Mum's telling lies. If Brian does something really bold, he says it was Minty. Minty's his friend who lives in the garage. Brian blames Minty on all the bold things. The broken hairdryer and the cut-up knickers, the scribbles on Tatty's son's book, the blobs of white paint all over the sideboard, the wee in the coal scuttle, the wee in Mum's good high heels. When Brian blames Minty, Dad might say, "Just wait till I get my hands on that Minty fella, I'll wring his bloody neck for him." And that isn't fair either, because nobody else has Minty to blame. One time Dad got crossful, and he knew he wasn't messing. That was the time he made everyone cry. That was the time Tatty sneaked off miles away to Crumlin. She sneaked off miles away to Crumlin with the fat baby next door squashed into his pram, and the fat baby's big sister called Seána Kerslake. Mum was showing Mrs. Curtis Lukey's new tooth over the garden wall, the two of them pressing around his gums with the tips of their little fingers. Tatty kept nagging them about being bored, so in the end, they said she could bring the pram as far as the corner, seeing as how they were wrapped up warm and the winter sun was shining. They said she could be in charge because she was the eldest. Then Jeannie said she wanted to go too, and even though that made her the eldest by 1 year, 10 months and 1 week, Mum still said Tatty could be in charge because she had the idea first. Then Jeannie was raging. Tatty thought she was great pretending to be Mum, fussing over the fat baby, making him lie down 1 second, then sit up again the next, shoving a soother in and out of his mouth and saying to Jeannie and the Seána Curtis, "Come on you pair, stop dawdling. Do you hear me now? Haven't got all shagging all day." When they got to the corner, there was another corner, and another one after that. So Tatty kept pushing the pram, down past the far shops, past the old quarry, and the row of lumpy cottages, and Dino's chipper and the submarine bar, and the old red brick school, and the little brown prefab one where Tatty was in high babies, and the church made out of sparkly brick where Seána Kerslake was bridesmaid for her uncle's wife from England that she couldn't remember the name of anymore. And then they were in Crumlin. "Guess what?" Seána goes. "What?" "My nanny lives around here." "She does not." "Where around here?" "You go down that road, then another road, and you see me nanny's roundabout and it's just there." "I know," Tatty said. "Why don't we go on a visit?" Tatty loved Seána Kerslake's granny, because she was a funny little granny, and you'd think she was a little girl the way she went on, except for her old granny face. But the best thing about the little granny was she always had sweets in her pocket. It took ages to find the little granny's house because all the roads kept getting mixed up and every road has its own exact same roundabout. They had to keep walking, and Tatty kept talking like she was Mum again about what she was getting in for the dinner and how they better all behave themselves and not make a show of her when they went on a visit. And it took ages for the little granny to open the door. She kept peeping out the letterbox and squealing, "Who is this? Who is this? I'm not opening up unless you tell me your name." And she couldn't hear what they were saying when they all said their names. But after a while, she let them in anyway. She made them tea in big stripy mugs, with shovels of shiny sugar tumbling down. She gave them hairy cinnamon drops out of her pinny pocket. Then she made them lemon curd sandwiches. First, she buttered the bread in her hand. Then she plopped the lemon curd in the middle. Next, she folded over the bread and pressed it in. The lemon curd squirted out the sides, and the little granny licked all her fingers. When it was time to go, the little granny stood at the door waving goodbye. She kept on shouting, "Yoo-hoo! as if they were only coming up the road instead of going back down it. It was pitch black outside and freezing cold, so it looked like they were all smoking cigarettes, even the baby in the pram. Then they started laughing because that was so funny watching the fat baby smoking his head off. But the fat baby didn't think it was funny. He started screaming and getting on Tatty's nerves. So when they got back to the submarine bar, she went inside to the curly barman and asked him to phone Dad. But Dad wasn't home yet. So the curly barman had to put the pram on his roof rack and drive them there himself. When they got home, the snots were hanging down out of the baby's nose or sideways stuck to his cheeks. His nappy was sapping wet, hanging down to his knees. And Jeannie's fingers were stuck together, her hands held out like claws. She kept on screaming, "They're not my hands! They're not my hands!" So Mum had to put gloves on them and put them under a jumper and rub them until they forgot about being stuck with the cold to the handlebars of the pram and remembered how to be Jeannie's hands again. Mrs. Curtis gave out stink to Tatty, and Mum said, "Oh, I'm terrible sorry, Mrs. Curtis. I'll murder her, I really will." Mrs. Curtis still kept on giving out, and after a while Mum said, "I hear now, she's not that much older. You know, she is only just gone 6. You're talking as if she's a fully grown adult. I mean to say now, Mrs. Curtis, let's be realistic here. When you think about it, the only actual adult involved was your mother." But then Majella Curtis started bawling her eyes out, saying, she made me go, and she was laughing at me nanny and me baby brother as well, calling him fatso every minute and trying to pull his cheeks off his face. So Mum said, "Oh, I'm terrible sorry, Mrs. Curtis," again. When Dad came home from the races, Tatty was in for it. He woke her up to give out to her. He stood at the door, holding the steak for his dinner up in his hand. There were dots of blood dripping out of the steak all over Dad's shoes, all over the floor. "Do you know the police were out looking for you? Do you know that?" "No, Dad, can you tell me tomorrow because I'm very tired." "Are you now? Are you? Well, do you see that steak?" he goes, wagging the steak all over the place. "Do you see that steak?" "Yes, Dad. The next time you do something like that, I'll give you such a hiding your arse is going to look like that steak." And then Tatty couldn't stop crying. She tried to say something, but the sobs wouldn't let her voice come out of her throat. She tried to say, "That's very rude. You're not supposed to say that rude word. You're supposed to say bottom instead." And everyone started crying, because that was the crossest anyone ever saw Dad before, and because nobody ever heard him shouting like that, except maybe through the wall at Mam. But he still didn't give her a smack.